Hi, I'm Jessica Rogers. I'm an executive leadership coach, and I'm going to talk to you today about authentic and inclusive leadership in this rapidly changing world. So, first of all, just the thing to remember is that leadership today isn't really just about titles or about control anymore. It's really more about trust, it's about inclusion, and most of all, I really believe that it's about purpose as well. So, the world around us is changing really fast. We have technology, we have culture, we have expectations. And what used to be known as being a strong leader or strong leadership doesn't quite fit anymore, particularly as things around us are changing so rapidly. So people don't just want, direction and somebody who's going to lead the way and tell them what to do. What they really want is connection. People connect with the best leaders. So today, I really want to talk to you about what it takes to be that authentic and inclusive leader. And to go beyond buzzwords, really, and to give some tips and some hints on how to really lead in a way that builds trust, that builds collaboration, and it also instills and builds confidence in others as well. So, for a very long time, leadership really was about authority. Yeah, the leader decided, and everyone else followed. The team followed. But actually, today's world, which is complex, it's diverse, and at times quite unpredictable, means that that old model of leadership really doesn't work. And so, authentic and inclusive leadership is something that can really flip that model. So, it's not just about power over the people, it's about having power with people. So just think for a second about the best leader that you've ever had. So I would say that the chances are they probably made you feel like you had a voice and made you feel heard. They were honest. Perhaps even when being honest wasn't necessarily the easiest route to take. And they trusted you to really contribute. They really built that trust and that confidence in you. And I'd say that that's what real leadership is about, because I know that that's what I've seen from the best leaders that I've had over the years. But to be that type of leader that instills that level of trust does take a lot of courage. Yeah. And so when we think about courage, the first thing I think about is authenticity, because to get to know, to be an authentic leader, you have to really think about and know who you are. You have to be really clear about your values, about your purpose, and really clear about and be rooted in what you stand for. So, an authentic leader isn't really about being perfect, it's about being real, because authentic leaders are able to admit that they don't have all the answers. Authentic leaders listen more than they talk, and they make decisions aligned with their principles, with their purpose, and they make decisions based on those things rather than what they think others want to hear or what might be necessarily expected of them. And the thing about that, and the thing to remember, is that when you're being authentic, vulnerability is key as well. As a leader, you have to be able to say, I don't know all the answers. I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers, but let's figure it out together. And by doing that and by saying that, you create trust. And where there's trust, the people that you lead feel safe to take risks, feel safe to share ideas, feel safe to get it wrong sometimes and to learn from their mistakes. And it's in that environment, as a leader, you create that environment where people can grow, and that's where you can really see the magic happen. So now let's talk about what it means to be an inclusive leader. So inclusive leadership is leadership that recognises and celebrates diversity. So it's not just about diversity of gender and diversity in race. Those are important. But it's also diversity of thought, diversity of background, and also diversity of experience as well. So these things aren't just a nice to have, just a tick box. These are things that are essential, things that you really enable people to bring to the table. And it's not just about giving people that seat at the table, it's about making sure that their voices are actually heard. So I believe that inclusive leaders intrinsically do 3 simple things really well. So firstly, they listen without getting defensive. They seek perspectives, actively seek perspectives that are different from their own. And they also notice which voices are always the loudest, and they notice who's not speaking, most importantly, and they make it their mission and they make a point of inviting those voices in. That's real inclusion. And when people feel included, when your teams feel included, they spend less energy trying to fit into a particular mold, and actually they use their energy to create, to innovate, and to collaborate. And that's when you see your teams really thrive. So at the heart of it all, authenticity, inclusion, these facets of leadership are really about building trust and operating from a place of real purpose. And remember that trust isn't something that you can demand. Trust is something that you earn, and you earn it through consistency, through honesty, through humanity, and actually really caring. And purpose gives direction, particularly when everything else feels uncertain, as it currently does in many areas. When there's purpose, there is real direction. And when that purpose is communicated, there is real direction. So when people feel trusted, they feel included, they feel connected to a purpose, that's when they can really be in an environment and in a system where they can do their best work. So just remember that authentic and inclusive leadership isn't just the trend. It really is about transformation. When you're leading from honesty, you're leading from a place of empathy, you're also leading from a place of real deep courage. That's when we see the shifts. That's when leadership is a shift from just me to a shift to the we and what we are creating. And just remember that in this world that is ever changing, and it's changing at quite a fast rate, people don't want perfect leaders, they want real ones. They want people who are really leading from the heart. Thank you.